The Second World War was a rough time for the NHL. A lot of players had to serve. It weakened the league. Two of the franchise association were in dire straits and needed as much boosting for the next season as possible, especially the Rangers, who only won 6 games all season with a minus 148 between the pipes. But it was this season that the Montreal Canadiens, the modern Montreal Canadiens, came into full focus. Of course, Bill Durham, Maurice Richard, and the great players on the team, many of whom were Hall of Famers. Now, the 44 campaign, Montreal finished an outstanding 38-5-7 and didn't lose at home all season. They went the first 15 games so undefeated, a couple of ties in the mix, had a couple of long winning streaks, but the 50-game season was all theirs. Now, this was the squad's 35th campaign, 27 in the NHL. The squad again would win the Stanley Cup for the fifth time, ending a drought of more than a decade. Now, Billy Durham had a great season as their new goalie, and he won the Vezina Trophy in his rookie campaign. Now, at the Habs training camp in '43, general manager Tommy Gorman had to make a big decision, and he settled on Bill Durham as his goalie. Durham stated that he was happy as an amateur and happy with less money if it meant avoiding the stress of the pro game. On opening night, Durham was not yet signed. 10 minutes before the first face-off, he spoke with Gorman and reached a deal. Durham signed a contract and played at a contest. The result was a 2-2 draw with the Bruins. The rookie netminder, who was a prestigious amateur and minor goalie for a number of years, was a few months shy of his 27th birthday. Now, the big thing was the punchline of Elmer Locke, Rocket Richard, and Toe Blake. Basically, considered the greatest line of that era. And the what scored well against some of the second division sides. Locke had a big 48 goals, almost scoring 50, with adding 72 full points. And maybe a distant cousin of Vince McMahon, Mike McMahon Sr., led the Habs with 98 minutes and penalties. Now, this was the Montreal's first cup after 13 years in the wilderness. He led the league in games played, wins and goals against average in the regular campaign. So again, Montreal went 38-5-7. Detroit had a good campaign, 26-18-6. Toronto went 23-23-4, but a plus 40. Chicago was 22-23-5, a minus 9. But the Bruins won only 19 contests, and the Rangers only won 6. So 25 wins between the second division teams in that season, 100 matches. Now, Montreal won 5-3-2, ironically, against Boston, 8-0-2 against Chicago, 9-0-1 against Detroit, 9-0-1 against the Rangers, and 7-2-1 against Toronto. So, despite Boston only have 19 games, he bet Montreal 3 times. So, he went undefeated against Chicago, Detroit, and the Rangers. Now, the season was quite interesting. He opened again with that 2-2 tie, then went on a 5 game winning streak, tied Boston again, and did not lose their first game of the season until December 5th. A 5-4 loss in Boston, then lost in Toronto 4-2. He went on another big winning streak, 9 games before losing to Toronto again, and went on an undefeated streak for another 7 contests before losing to Boston in February. Went undefeated, I think it was 13, 14 games. Lost again to Boston. But the big games offensively was an 11-2 victory over the Rangers on March 18th at home. 10-2 against the Bruins on February 26th. And they were scoring, and of course, the 13-4 shellacking of Boston, as we call it the night of long knives in Montreal. That was a rough night for Boston. I don't think Boston fans has ever gotten over that. So in the semifinal, Toronto shocked Montreal by ending their undefeated streak at home, winning 3-1. But Montreal responded for a 5-1 victory, 2-1 and 4-1 victories in Toronto. In Game 5, with just a blowout, getting 11. the 11-0 victory again showed showed Toronto who's boss in that division. Now the final again against Chicago, Montreal opened with a 5-1 victory, and then won 3-0 and 3-2, and then the 5-4 overtime victory. Now, Maurice Richard made the Stanley Cup debut with a 5-goal performance in the series, including the key hat trick in Game 3 was the difference. The punchline of Richard, Locke, and Blake scored 10 of the Canadiens' 16 goals. Blake scored the Cup winner in overtime, one of the most famous goals in Montreal Canadiens history. In the same OT, Bill Durham stopped his first penalty shot awarded in the finals, awarded to Virgil Johnson. Now, in the regular season again, 48 goals for Locke in 50 games. Toe Blake had excuse me, my apologies, didn't score 48 goals. He had 72 points, 48 assists. My apologies. I'm reading it wrong here because games played, sorry. Toe Blake had 26 goals and 33 assists for 59 points. Maurice Richard had 32 counters to lead the team in goals with 54 points. Buddy O'Connor, a very strong season. He had 54 points, including 12 goals. Ray Getliff had 28 counters and 53 points. Phil Watson had 49 points, including 17 goals. Jerry Hefferman, a very strong season, 48 points, including 28 counters. Merv Chamberlain, a big player in the Maritimes, 15 goals, 32 assists for 47 points. Fern Majot had 20 goals and 38 points. Leo Lamoureux, who split between center and defense, had 38 points, including 8 counters. Bod Filion had 30 points. Mike McMahon, the rugged defenseman, 24 points in 42 games. Glenn Harmon had 5 goals and 16 assists. Hall of Famer Emile Bouchard had 19 points in 39 games. Todd Campo had 2 contests for Montreal. Durham had 50 games, of course, and Bob Walton played 4 games. Now, 38, 5 and 7, 218, only 2 shutouts. Now, in the postseason, again, Toe Blake, if they were giving a Conn Smythe, he probably would have won it. He had 18 points. Maurice had 12 goals and 17 points. Elmer Locke had 2 goals and 11 assists. Ray Gatliff had 5 goals, as did Merv Chamberlain. Phil Watson had 3, while Emile Bouchard, Glenn Harmon, Jerry Hefferman, Mike McMahon, Buddy O'Connor scored singles. Leo Lamoureux had 3 assists. Bob Durham, of course, played all 9 games with a 1.53 average. Bob Filion played 3 contests, with Fern Majot scoring, appearing in 1 game. And again, sorry about the Elmer Locke comment. I'm always thinking that Elmer is scoring more goals than he is. But Maurice's 32 goals meant a lot. He was taking some rough penalties during the regular season. He would do a Gordie Howe hat trick, literally with a hat trick, a fight, and an assist in a contest. But for a lot of people, this is the jumping off point for what we call the quiet revolution fans of the Montreal Canadiens. And if anybody's going to be a fan of the Montreal Canadiens in wartime, they would have been born here, because you got to consider radio was getting bigger and bigger. People were listening in to the updates overseas, especially the 43, late 43, early 44 campaigns. So the radio hearing the war updates and the various music bands and Glenn Miller and stuff like that, and the growth of radio dramas. The Montreal Canadiens were more than fitting to be the sports voice of English and French radio. And you look at Rock Corrier's book, my cousin's book, The Hockey Sweater. Check it out. Kind of talks a little bit about that. We all want to be part of the Montreal Canadiens. See, the thing is with Toronto Maple Leaf fans, there's no religion to it. It's cult. See, Montreal Canadiens, it joined us all, because whether you're a poor person in Ontario or Saskatchewan or whatever part of Canada, the Montreal Canadiens were larger than life, and you had Maurice Richard, handsome like a movie star. You had the big line. You had solid defense. You had the great announcing. Even the younger players on the team were getting a lot of recognition. And again, it was a glory era. We used to take advantage. We used to win the Stanley Cup every year pretty much up until in the late 1970s. And, it's been, for us, 45 years. But the glorious ones, les glorieux, as we call them, will never fade away. Because you ever wonder why people hate the Montreal Canadiens so much? Because we saved this country from itself. If you got a soldier away serving, whether you're a mother or a brother or your husband's over there, and all you have for pleasure is listening to the radio, with no TV back then. Montreal Canadiens come on, it's like you could follow it all season. Like I said, they are heroic. There's no surprise to failing hands we throw the torch. There's a big connection with Canada and the Montreal Canadiens, especially that era of the 1940s, because they were nothing in the 30s. They were pretty well down to nothing, and here they are. You almost traded Mus Richard. That's another story altogether. So, ladies and gentlemen, today is the oh God Almighty, 80th anniversary of probably the greatest Montreal Canadiens year of all time. Not the greatest team, but the greatest year. If you like what we're doing here or Montreal podcast, let us know in a like, comment, subscribe, or share. So ironic. Take it about Toronto. Montreal couldn't lose at home. First game against Toronto, they let him off the hook and he blew them out 11-0 in Game 5. There's no respite for history, ladies and gentlemen. Toronto has no history. In the words of Ken Dryden, there is no Habs-Leafs rivalry. The Leafs killed it. That's how it goes. Thank you, and have a great day, and happy Mother's Day weekend. Bye.